Another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Although the air quality today is piss poor. It's unhealthy, the air quality right now. And, you know, I wanted to say something about this SkyTrain, which I'm going to turn it around real quick here. I was under the impression that this was just like the other SkyTrains, the other lines. However, this, I believe, this is a monorail. It's the monorail. This yellow line. It's not like the other SkyTrains, the other lines. So it's pretty interesting. But you can see it's a very nice day today. No clouds out. None of that. Not many people out running around yet. Although we have the A team working today. All right. Oh, what is going on here? Oops. Okay, so what is that noise they have here? You guys hear that? John, what's happening? How you doing? Thank you. I've been back for like 2 weeks, something like that. I don't know how long now. Maybe about 2 weeks. Yeah, I shaved it. It got a little thick and itchy. It just got to be a little bit too much. So I just went, spur of the moment, I went, I'm taking it off because it was a little bit itchy. So. But today we got a bunch of subjects to talk about, several to talk about here. One of which is the TAT came out with another, the guy who runs the TAT came out with another statement about the tourists that they want to come to Thailand. That's one thing we'll be talking about. Another thing we'll be talking about is vaping here in Thailand and the effects that it has on people and just how severe the punishment is here. I don't understand for the life of me, considering how severe the punishment is here, why people would even risk vaping here out in public. I mean, I could understand maybe vaping in your house or something like that, but out in public, I don't know why anybody does it. And last but not least, we're going to talk about erectile dysfunction and how it relates to smoking, because this is another thing that's come out in the news recently. What is that? Soy Dog Cowboy. Yes, I am a people. What's happening? What's happening, everybody? I don't know. I thought they had that fixed. There was this noise was going on, and some people came in and worked on their machinery here, and then the noise was gone. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, cheers. Before I go on, Thai baht 33.38, so it's a little bit stronger now than in the past week. Air quality is 153, which is unhealthy. That in itself is a good reason to get out of Bangkok. I'm just looking forward to the day, and maybe I shouldn't, be careful what you wish for because you might get it. But I'm looking forward to the day where I'm like, not in the big city, but you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If I go, then like Bo, my wife, is saying, oh well, if you go out of the city, you're going to be bored out of your head, and I might be. Temperature is 77. The temperature is perfect right now. 73% humidity. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. I like it. If it would just stay this temperature all the time, that'd be fantastic. The high is 94, so it is going to get a bit hot. Low of 72, and the feel like temperature is exactly what the temperature is, 77. Like I said, 73% humidity, 0 wind, which I don't know, the other day it was like 11 miles an hour, and then here it is now, there's absolutely no wind at all. Mostly cloudy, and about a 10% chance of rain, which is next to nothing. I want to give a big shout out to all those people who help the channel on a regular basis, basically help me to be able to travel and to continue doing videos and all these sorts of things. If you want to help, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, pick yourself up a t-shirt. I do have the new t-shirts coming on the way, and I'll be wearing those shortly. So pick yourself up one while you can, because some of those t-shirts are going to be no longer available in the near future. And today, starting in, let's see here, what time is it? 8 o'clock, so in another 5 hours, for 24 hours only, get 10% off on all the t-shirts. Just use the code SUPER10, and there it is right there. Go down in the description, click on the link in the description, and use the code at checkout. Use the code SUPER10, just like I typed in there in the chat, and you'll get 10% off of your purchase, whatever it may be, mugs, t-shirts, whatever. And there are going to be some more products available, which I'm happy about, and those will be coming soon, maybe a hat or two. So for some of those people who wear hats out there, I don't know, maybe you'll like what I got coming, but we'll see. Anyway, now, first thing I wanted to talk about, let's get this out of the way, because another guy has had to call a rescue team, emergency services, because his pecker was stuck in a padlock. And you can't make this up. This is the second time in a year that this has happened. The first time, the guy stuck his thing in a lock. Basically, his mother said he liked sticking his unit into small holes. So he somehow managed to get his, I don't understand how you do it. I really don't. I don't get it. And I'm not bragging, but I don't think mine would fit. You know what I mean? Like, it would have to be like I'd have to be on the doctor's table where the doctor was about ready to stick something up my thing, for it to come anywhere near being small enough to get into a padlock. But this is a true story, and I don't know what it is. What is it about a padlock that makes it enticing? It says they found a man covered in tattoos. This article from the Tiger says they found a man covered in tattoos and little else, and he had got his penis stuck in a locked padlock. The rescue squad was able to eventually free the Willie. They should have just said Free Willie, using what was reported as specialist equipment to cut him free of the lock. His age and identity were not released publicly, and the photo was blurred. His genitals were said to be red and swollen after his penis had been stuck in the padlock for an unknown amount of time. But the last guy, he was so embarrassed, understandably so, that he didn't go to the hospital. He didn't tell anybody he was having a problem for 2 weeks. And apparently he was disfigured. So I don't know what it is about these guys trying to put their dicks in padlocks. The last guy apparently was a bachelor who didn't have a girlfriend, so I guess that justifies it. I mean, hasn't he ever heard of the, like Rosie? Rosie, hasn't he heard about Rosie? I mean, get a fleshlight, get something. He said he was bored and he likes putting his thing through small holes. His mother was angry because he embarrassed her, and I've told him not to do it again. Medics spent more than 30 minutes using an electric cutter to slice through the metal lock. They slid a thin sheet of metal between the bar and the man's skin to prevent it from being cut, and squirted water onto his body for lubrication. Maybe they should have gave him the lubrication before he, I don't know, doesn't he know about lubrication? They gave him antibiotic cream and then penicillin. You can't make this shit up. I saw it again and I'm like, no, that was a couple months ago. No, this was new. In the hospital, he was in pain and screaming loudly, so loudly because it was so swollen. Removing the metal was difficult. All right, listen. Note to self and piece of advice to all those watching. And I know there's probably some knucklehead who will go ahead and try it just to see what the big allure is. But don't stick your dick inside of a padlock and lock it up. It's not a good idea. Unbelievable. That really is unbelievable, but... And you can call it clickbait, you can call it what you want, but apparently these are true story. Now, as far as the TAT, this is the big news out there, and it's been the news for a while because a lot of people are laughing at what the Thais are trying to do. And that is basically they only want people who have quite a bit of money. They want wealthy tourists and wealthy expats. And, you know, I'm going to read some of the comments. This is in the Asian Now. It used to be Thai Visa. Because it tells you just what people think. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. Obviously, this is not representative of everybody who's an expat in Thailand, but and Thai Visa or Asian Now, they have a reputation of being a bit holier than thou, shall we say. You know, I hear Beer's mellifluous voice in the background. If she's walking around out here, I'll tell her to come say hello to Gennaro. All right, we got Preo and Beer working today. Yeah, instead of cock block, it's cock lock. I don't get it. I mean, listen. I understand you don't have an old lady. You're a little bit, worked up. You're like, hey, when am I gonna get some? But then you don't. I don't know why you would whip out a padlock. I mean, they need to send this guy over to me. I'll tell him, listen, buddy, you got alternatives. Don't be a chowderhead. But anyway, let me go on here. They've been trying to get these high-dollar tourists. So now the chief of Thailand's tourism authority, Yuttasak Supasorn, from the TAT, he gave a seminar on economic recovery after the reopening, or if you want to call it that, of Thailand. He stressed that Thailand needs high-quality tourists who are high earners and big spenders. Now, my first thought when I hear this, my first thought is, well, wait a minute. You got a guy, he comes in here. I can tell you that, my family has come over here a couple times, and they spend a fair amount of money. We got a van every single day for the entire time they were here, which is about 10 days. That had to be at least $700-800 plus the tip. okay, to rent a van every day. Then we were constantly going to tourist locations. So we're paying the fees to get in, and we're paying 5 to 10 times more than what the Thais are paying. And it wasn't just me and my wife. It was my mother, my sister, my sister's kids. There's 4 people. And then it was me and my wife and my kids. That's 8 people. So we're spending for 8 people on meals. Okay. But I bet you altogether, it couldn't have been more than $5,000 for everything, including the hotel, $5,000 to $6,000. Now, $5,000 to $6,000. Okay, granted, my family was not staying in some resort in Phuket, but they've stayed in decent hotels, 4-star hotels, 3 to 4-star hotels, everywhere. They never have a problem going to a nice restaurant or traveling around it. There's none of that. And yet, apparently that's not good enough. I don't know exactly what they're looking for, how much money they really think people are going to spend. Because I can say as an expat, I mean, I think, how much would we spend? 1.2 to 1.8, somewhere around there, maybe 2 million baht a year, all things totaled up. So how many people are coming, how many tourists are coming over here, big spenders, spending even 1 million baht in, say, a couple of weeks or a month? How many are doing that? $40 hotels are plenty enough. Well, okay, I understand that, but some people, they're used to staying in very, very nice hotels, and that's going to cost you $150 to $200 a day. But if you stay even for 2 weeks and it's $200, that's $2,800. That's, 90,000 baht. And okay, let's say that you're spending 1,000 to 1,500 for your meal at dinner. You get a free breakfast, or let's say you're spending 3,000 a day, 3,000 baht a day. That's $100 a day on food. So there's another, let's say if it's 2 weeks, 1,500 bucks. So, like I said, if you're spending, say, 5,000, even $10,000, $10,000 for a tourist is 330,000 baht approximately. So, are you saying that the majority of expats who live here don't spend 330,000? They spend far more than that. So, and the thing is that the people who become expats and who spend all this money, people like me, people like Jono, people like Soy Dog in a little bit different sense, the same with Longhorns, because they're here part-time, at least at the moment. But there are numerous people, and I guarantee you they're spending 75,000 a month. The older people tend to spend a little bit more. So 75,000 a month, and then maybe they buy a car, maybe they buy a house, maybe they buy a motorcycle, they're paying for insurance, they're paying for maintenance. Not everybody, obviously I'm not yet. So I don't understand where they come from with this, and I think and I'm going to read some of the comments, which is the point of this, but whether this means the focus has shifted from Chinese group tours, the Bangkok Business News, which is who came out with this original article, they did not speculate. They quoted Yutasaka saying the government's aim was to get 50% of tourists back by next year, and 80% by 2023. So 50% would be about 20 million next year, which is upcoming. I don't I think that's a stretch. This means the target is 20 million for the next year and 32 million for 2023. He told the seminar that Thailand attracted 40 million in 2019, but 2020 was a washout due to the pandemic. Noteworthy Phuket Sandbox revival this year was the fact that each tourist spent 70,000 baht. Okay. They spent 70,000. So what the hell is he trying to do? He doesn't want the 70,000. He wants 70,000 from a. I mean, I just said how much people are spending. I know about how much people are spending. If somebody comes over here for 2 weeks and they're paying $40 a night in a hotel, and they're paying, say, another $15, $20 a day for food, that's 60 bucks a day right there. And they're here for 2 weeks. You know, that's $840. That's okay. So he doesn't want the people who end up, you know, by the time they're done, they spend 35 or 40,000. Instead, he only wants the people who spend above 70,000. I don't understand what his point is. He said that from now on, Thailand has to stress value over volume, noting that the country is wonderful for culture and health tourism in particular. Okay, a couple of points about that, and I'm gonna do a video. About a couple of comments that I got. One was a guy who lives out in the country and he's very happy. And the other is a guy who was like, you know, Thailand sucks and it's terrible and he's had this kind of experience and that kind of experience. Now, I don't know if he's a troll. I don't know what the deal is with him. But I think the guy was a bit off. I think the majority of people who come here, and let's just say even 80%, have a pretty good time when they come here. I don't know that, you know, like I can tell you my family is not looking to run to come back to Thailand. Not even to see me. Not even to see the grandkids. They're not running, and they don't want me running back to the United States. You know, just to go and see them when I can talk to them and see them right online, and it's not the same. But now we got this guy walking around here. Look at this. And he's very interested in what I'm doing, but I hope it's not another case of like the girl who came in and yeah, I just hope that's it doesn't happen very often. He's been walking around. I haven't said anything for about 10 minutes, but he's been walking back and forth staring at me, and I'm like, okay, I understand. Maybe you're like, oh, what's he doing? But there comes a point. You gonna say hello? Here, she said hello to you. Okay, here you go.
Hello ค่ะ สวัสดีค่ะโอเคไหม
Hello, goodbye.
Hello สวัสดีค่ะโอเคไหม Thank you
Okay, bye. There you go. There you go, Gennaro. There's your happiness for the day. Yeah, he's a lurker. He's one of my staunch followers, one of my trolls. Well, you know, I don't even think that the bar scene at this point should be. Hey, thank you very much, there, Henry. I appreciate that. I love it, man. Thank you. Choke D to you. All the way in Scotland. Maybe Duke Nukem. I don't know. I gotta laugh about this, you know. Yeah, you know, beer is the outgoing one of the trio. Yeah, she's the outgoing one. Thank you very much. You know, I think at this point, though, like I said, you know, and this is how I definitely viewed it about the bars. Because I never really thought about the bars per se. When I came here originally, I thought I'm going to train in Muay Thai, and you know, this was a long time ago. Okay, hello to Israel. Thank you. But I came here to train in Muay Thai, 27 years ago. And I thought, I'm going to go there and train. And like the guys from the Netherlands had told me, there are a lot of perks to being in Thailand. I thought, okay, I'm going to have a great time. Hey, I get a girl here or there, I have a little bit of fun. All right, good times. But I didn't really think about the bars because I wasn't looking to party my ass off. And once I got here, once I got past the part of there's not a chance in hell that I'm going to become some world-class fighter in any way at 32. Once I got over the fact that, like the people here, if they're training from a very, very young age, and, and I got over that, I thought, hey, I'm going to have a good time here. And for me, the women were a way to learn about the culture. They were a view into the culture. You get a girl and you go, hey, yeah, if you take me around, I'll give you some dough. And then, at night it's like, she's like, oh no, you don't have to get another room. I stay with you. Oh, okay. Okay, so that was a good way in. The bar scene was something that was, let's go have a drink. Maybe I'll loosen up a little bit. I need to relax. And, maybe she did, or maybe it was just something to do. It wasn't the only thing to do. And I view it the same way now. Well, I think Gennaro is hoping that he gets a barista as one of his guides. Now, here's the last sentence. It says, have to stress value over volume. This is why people have been coming to Thailand for many, many years. And that is the value. What was this here? Are you seeing that public places are requesting to see vax status to enter a prison? No. Although I have heard that, good morning, Be Free Asia. Good morning. I heard that at Khao San Road that you were being asked to get in to access the road, that they wanted to make sure you were vaccinated. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I don't like it, but if they want to do it and makes people feel more comfortable, then so be it. That's what they're going to do. There's nothing you can do about it. So you might as well just go with it, because you can bitch and moan all you want, but that's the way it is. If you want Western prices, people would stay closer to home. Well, yeah, so value is very important. And one of the other things that I think is something that people just don't really give much thought is, I saw something about, I don't remember if it was the Integrity Legal guy or whoever it was, but he was talking about, is Thailand racist? And there are some people, I'm sure that there are young people who research coming to Thailand and they see that they're going to have to pay 10 times more to go into a national park. And some of them will be put off by that. Now, if they're offended, so be it. This is how they operate here. And it's not something that most people love, but it's a way that they do things here. It's the way they do things here. And so you can either choose to ignore it and not go to those places, or you can choose to pay. And the other thing is that the hospitals, now it is legal for them to charge a different price for foreigners. And I've never liked that. I don't like that in the medical profession, because I think there is something ethics should come into play. And to me, ethically, that's just wrong. Well, we're going to charge this guy 5 times more, 3 times more, 2 times more, whatever it is. Because we know he has money. He's got the money to come over here. So in a sense, they are right. Okay, he's got the money to come over here. I have not seen any place other than Khao San Road that is saying you must be vaccinated or you can't come in, or you're gonna have to do a test. I haven't seen anywhere. And I did say when I went to Chiang Mai that the airport, the airlines, the hotel, none of them asked me. Not one of them asked me to show proof that I was vaccinated. Which I'm like, really? So this is your safety plan against the virus? And now there's apparently more cases of this Omicron, and I don't know what that's going to mean. Who knows? Hopefully, if they really want to learn to live with it, they just keep going along the same path, and eventually we'll get through it. We will get through it. But that's the thing, the value over volume. Well, wait a minute. The reason that you had the volume, and this is a way that Thais tend to think. The reason they have the value is because of the price. You go into a bar and they give you a price on a drink, and you think it's a great value. It's 150 baht, 100 baht, right? You're getting beer for 60 baht or something. You go, wow, what a great value. And a lot of people go there. And then, if there's a time period where it's slow, like it's the low season, they will raise the price to make up for the income that they've lost. So that if instead of 100 people coming in and paying 100 baht a drink, they have 20 people coming in paying 150 baht a drink. That's their mentality. And it has been for as long as I've lived here. So while it's great they want the value, the reason they have the value, or the volume rather, is because there was such a good value. If you lose that value, which the value is still here, but it is decreasing. I'm going to make that point. The value of Thailand has slowly eroded. That's not to say that you can't get some great values. I mean, listen, I live in a house that's $210 a month. I mean, renting a, 1, 2, 3 bedroom, 2 bath townhouse for $210. That's a pretty damn good value. Now, my wife searched long and hard to find the place, and it's a little older, but there's a reason why we live in it, because it's a great value, and that tends to be that's how I live my life. I don't have a problem paying for something of a good value. Listen, I've been talking about getting a GoPro. I could probably get some other cheaper camera, but I don't know that it would be as good of a value, because the GoPro has their system, basically, it's completely set up. You need something to help you with this, boom, you can get it. You can even get knockoffs of this stuff, and they tend to be decent or good enough. So the value, while it's not fantastic, it's pretty good. That's kind of how I think, and that's what drew me here originally. Once I came, I went, man, I can't believe this. I go into a bar, and for $2 I have a beer, and I got some chick wiping me down with a cold rag, cold towel on my head. How can you beat that? You got some girl massaging you, and you're hot, and you come in, and she gives you a nice cold beer, and she wipes your forehead down, wipes your neck down, gives you a massage. What man wouldn't want that? You know? And then if you want, maybe you go right next door and you get yourself a foot massage. So, you know. That was a great value back in the day. Now, at least from what I know and what I've been told by my friends who still frequent the bar scene, it's not as good of a value. I know you can get some good values on rental properties. You know, and food tends to be, if you're buying Thai food or street food, the value tends to be very good. All right, so let me go on here. I found something here. The Thai economy in quarter 2, 2021, and the outlook for 2022. Exports returning, but private consumption expenditure returned to growth at 4.6%, improving from a 0.3% drop in the previous quarter. Where was the stuff that I wanted to talk about here? The expenditure, this was in line with food. Expenditure for non-durable goods grew by 2.3%. So there's a small increase. Total investment increased by 8.1%, accelerating from 7.3% in the previous quarter. Export value increased by 36.2%. So I guess my point is that the economy is slowly but surely returning here, if not for any other reason than domestically people are starting to spend a little more money. But we've talked about this at great length, and I just wonder, I don't know what they're thinking and how they come up with this. Okay, well, we're gonna basically abandon the people who, I don't even know that I would say abandon. That's not really the right word, but we're going to concentrate on the rich and not worry about those people who basically made our country what it is, but when it comes to tourists. There you go. Son of a bitch. Yeah, okay. Hotels and apartments. Listen, it really depends. When it comes to the apartments, you can easily get an apartment here if it's $1,000 to $1,200, very easily, and it's not that big, it's not that great, and you just remember you're living in a big city. Or you can go the other direction, and listen, Nicholas is going to have to get his own place in the next, month. And, fortunately, there are places around his school that are relatively inexpensive. And it's, when my wife was going to school, she had a girlfriend who had one little room. It was just one tiny room. It was like the size of a big closet. And it had a bed in it, and there was no bathroom. And it was 1,500 baht a month. This one's like 4,000. And it's not the size of a closet. It's not huge, but because it's near a school, because of the area, it's a good value. And so, but the point is that, I've known people. I knew one guy, I talked about this. He had a place. It was off of Asok, goes past, going away from Pechbury, goes past Sukhumvit Road, and then there's a street on the left-hand side you can turn onto. And the street has a lot of Japanese apartments, apartments that cater to Japanese. And he was paying something like $140,000 a month, something like that. And the guy didn't need it. That's the thing. He was one guy. He didn't have a girlfriend. He had a girl for rent that he was paying like 80,000 baht. She wasn't worth it, in my opinion. She was nowhere near worth it. But he had this place, and it was 3 bedrooms, and he had like 4 air conditioners in the place, which he was always running. And he just wanted the place to be able to bring his friends over to have a nice place to stay. Now, in the long run, he couldn't afford it. But, you know, 1,400, actually it's Nick. And Alex can't stay with him because it's too far away from his own school. And, you know, this is the thing. If he can find somebody that he can share the room with, great. But otherwise, he's on his own. You know, this is the thing. You know, when I first started this channel, they were little kids. They're not little kids anymore. They're young men. And I have to remind my wife of that at some point you have to just go, hey, you're on your own, buddy. Make your mistakes. You know, don't make big mistakes. Make your little mistakes. You know, good morning, Dalo. Well, 80,000. Here's the thing, though. 140,000 baht. You know, that's over $4,000 a month. Now, $4,000 a month in Tokyo isn't going to get you the most fantastic place. It's probably not going to get you anything near what he got, but it's still 4,000 bucks a month. It's nothing to sneeze at. So, yeah, there are cheap places here, but you get with Thailand, you get what you pay for. And I'll never forget when I did not live here at the time, but I went to Koh Samet with a girl. I had been seeing the girl for a couple weeks, and I got some package to go to Koh Samet, and I'm supposed to get this room. I don't remember the specifics, but I was supposed to get the room, and I got there, and the room was nothing like they said. You know, it was like, no, we don't have any air, and well, I was supposed to have air. Yeah, we don't have any now. They're all full. Okay, well, that's not what I paid for. And then what I ended up having to do, and I was surprised because they took care of it, but I had to call the tour group, and it was right here on, it was right on Sukhumvit Soi 5. I don't know if the lady's still there, but it used to be a little short, squat lady. Right there in the corner of Sukhumvit Soi 5, next to there's a restaurant there. And right next to it, there's a tiny little room. There was just one little room. You could barely sit 2 people. Well, you had her behind the desk, and then you could sit 2 people, or have 2 people standing up in front of her desk. And that was it. That's how big it was. But she did a hell of a lot of business. And to her credit, she said, you know what? I'll change you to another place. And she got me a bungalow right on the beach, and it was 500 baht. And it was fantastic. It was really, really nice. It was right on the beach. I walked outside, and in 30 seconds, I was in the ocean. You know, I wanted what I paid for, and if you don't give it to the tourists, you know, most tourists are going to say something. You know. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a guy who is fairly well known. Who he was, I don't remember the specifics, but he was outside, or he went outside of his hotel, and the deck, he fell through the deck, and he was in a towel, and he ended up butt naked outside, and he broke through. Now, if you say anything overly negative, you risk running afoul of the defamation laws here. So you have to be careful what you say. So how much can you really say about if you're not getting a value? Now, back then, I didn't know about these defamation laws. I didn't learn about them until really I lived here. So that's something that, you know, maybe I should have concerned myself more with, but I didn't get in any trouble, so I was okay. And I didn't really have any major issues with any hotels. I had a good time, you know. So yeah, you know, top of the morning to you, lads. I don't know if anybody's watched the movie Get Back. I started watching it last night, and really interesting. Interesting to see how they worked together and how they came up with music and how they thought and how they spoke to one another and that kind of thing. It was. I only watched the first part, and I watched about half of it, about an hour and 15 minutes of it, but really good so far. Yeah, I mean, I stayed in, when I first came here to Pattaya, I stayed in the White House, and I stayed in, what was it called? The Cozy Beach. And at the time, I don't know if it's a nice place now or whatever. But it was a nice place back then. It was like a 4 or 5 star hotel. And this is a long time ago. It was quite nice. You know, I've had a couple places like in Bangkok. Like I've stayed in the Maxim, the World Inn on Soi. I think it's Soi 7/1, and not the greatest places, but you know, for the money, how much can you bitch if you're paying like 400 or 500 baht, and you know it works out to like $12, something like that. You know, $10. I just wasn't gonna bitch about that. You know. So anyway, well, you know, this is the big thing. Most people, at least who follow the stream, are not filthy rich, and they're willing to piss away all their money just to make the Thais happy. And I think they're really, you know, we know this already, but I think they're reaching. And it's one of those things where they're like reaching for the stars, and they hope that they get at least 2/3 of the way there, and then it benefits them. I don't know it's the best move to say these things publicly, to come out and say, well, we want the wealthy, the high-end tourists. Could use another espresso, eh? All right, so when I come back here after I'm gonna get my espresso, but we'll talk about the vaping thing and the. Is there gonna be a Christmas stream? I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. I know there should be. I got a lot of things going on right now between the kayaking, the trips, trying to get new gear. You know, I lost my glasses, my reading glasses. So my vision has been going. It's been deteriorating fairly rapidly. My eyes are a lot worse. So that's another thing. I gotta go there and get get my eyes checked, and I gotta get some new glasses, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do. You know, I'm actually really busy right now, but and I'm trying to get the channel. I'm trying to do some things behind the scenes, like I always am, and I'm trying to come up with a couple new T-shirt providers because it's important for me to do that. But yeah, again, just so that I don't forget, use the code Super10. Thank you very much, Dallo. Choke D to you. Use the code Super10 and get 10% off all of my my merchandise. You can get the link down below in the description, and that's 10% on everything. And it's for the next 24 hours, starting in about 3 hours, 3-4 hours. So let me go get this real quick. know what it is, but I'm hearing "Oh my God" a lot more now. My first thought when I hear that is, who's teaching them that? Who's teaching them? Oh my God. All right, so vaping here. You know, vaping here is illegal. If you don't know that, you should, because the penalties are quite severe. For example, if you are caught smoking outside, if you're caught vaping outside, yes, she admits it too. And I'm like, I don't think you're half as bad as me. Honey, you don't know what bad is. But hey, you never know. When she originally said that, I said, well, that's a good thing. You're a bad girl. That's a good thing. She still has a jacket or something I see every once in a while that says bad girl on it. I think it's the hip kind of mentality that a lot of Thai women, young Thai women, want to have. You know, they want to be, oh yeah, it's highly illegal here. If you are caught vaping here, you will be fined, and the fine is anywhere from 20 to 30,000 baht, which is about $650 to $1,000. The fine is near $1,000. And here's the kicker. You could be thrown into jail for as long as 10 years. So that's why I don't understand why anyone would want to vape outside. I mean, listen, I understand. You think, okay, it's better for me, yada, yada, yada. You know, I'm not into the whole smoking thing. I'm not a smoker. But when you have that kind of a penalty, why on earth would you smoke out in public? Because all it takes is, you know, you turn, like lately, there's been cops all over the place. I don't know, but I see people vaping all the time. You know, I mean, when I say all the time, it's not like an everyday thing. I see it probably, I don't know. I mean, you know, there are times I see it, depends on where I am, but, you know, I might see a couple of people vaping around the town in a period of 1 or 2 days. And then I might not see anybody for 2 weeks, but people are definitely out there vaping in public. The fine is up to 30,000 baht and a jail sentence of up to 10 years. Okay. Thailand e-cigarette, illegal cigarette market has grown dramatically in recent years. In 2019, its overall value was estimated at between 3 to 6 billion bahts. That's $100 to $200 million. This is a large amount, but it is only 5% of the entire tobacco industry in Thailand. You know, Asians like to smoke. Now, I don't see it a whole lot in Thailand because it's illegal to smoke within, I don't know what it is, 10 feet, 20 feet from buildings. I don't know the specifics, but it's about 20 feet. And you can see right from here, check this out. See that sign there? About the middle of the screen? That's a no smoking sign. This still is not common knowledge among tourists. There have been numerous articles of tourists being caught vaping and heavily fined. I have seen, like when I went to Railay, I saw a number of people vaping. I see them once in a while. I see them out in front of the mall, and they're just kind of, doing it on the sly. And I look at it like using a vaping pen, like sucking on something like that. To me, is like, when it comes to like cocaine and crack cocaine, the saying is you're sucking on a glass dick. And to me, it's like, all right, so you're addicted to sucking on that little tobacco dick. In one case in Phuket, in 2019, a French woman was fined 40,000 baht and deported. She was stopped by police while holding a vape pen when she was a passenger on a scooter. She went to court, had to hire a lawyer, paid a fine, and then was sent to Bangkok to be deported. The experience cost her a week of her freedom and 286,000 baht in legal fees and expenses and fines. In 2019, a sound man. Hang on a second. Let me just keep. In 2019, a sound man working for Dutch singer Gerard Joling, who was giving a concert in the city, was handed a 30,000 baht fine by the Pattaya police. Cops spotted him using his e-cigarette on Walking Street. That's pretty stupid. Although he probably didn't know, but still, that's no excuse. Ignorance is no excuse. The singer tried to intervene and was also detained by police for a short period. Therefore, if you are vaping in public in big cities such as Bangkok, Pattaya, Phuket, or Chiang Mai, you can find yourself in trouble. An excuse such as you brought the mod in for your own personal use while on holiday and not for resale isn't acceptable to authorities. The best advice if you want to vape in Thailand is to do it privately, away from the eyes of others. And if you're apprehended by police, remain calm, don't get into an argument, plead naivete, yes, and aim to negotiate a discount on any fine that's issued. Let me just give you one piece of advice. Don't ever argue with the police. Because if anybody in Thailand wants to be viewed as an authority, it's the police. You don't argue with the cops here. That is the dumbest thing that you can do. Even if you're innocent, you don't argue with them. Yes, sir, no, sir. Cop, cop, cop. Cop, cop, cop. Ka, whatever. Never. And sorry. And if you're lucky, they'll have mercy on you and maybe they'll let you go. Maybe they'll give you a small fine, whatever. Why can't you vape in Thailand? Vaping is relatively new. The laws are still evolving. And it does take years for these kind of laws to really mature. This is because as new studies are conducted, there is more evidence of how dangerous vaping and the use of e-cigarettes actually is. The World Health Organization claiming vaping is dangerous and the use of vape pens could cause serious health damage. However, the potential for lung cancer and other health issues is still far lower than with smoking regular cigarettes. Now, the reason that I bring this up, first of all, I'm not into smoking. I don't generally think about it. I don't particularly like smoking. I've been around when I used to be in a lot better shape and I was younger. I read about Carl Lewis. And Carl Lewis, the great sprinter, he would not allow anybody in a room with him if they smoked. And I completely understand. I don't want people smoking next to me and, doing that next to me. In most cases, there's never an excuse. Now, it's a different story if it's like you're in a place where there are a lot of smokers and it's just, this is the way it is. Okay, I'm not going to, I wouldn't do that. But if I'm sitting at a restaurant eating a meal and somebody starts smoking and the smoke is going in my face, I might say something. But the vaping thing, the reason that I bring this up is because vaping has been linked apparently to erectile dysfunction, which it's kind of funny because smoking is linked to erectile dysfunction as well. So, why would you why would you smoke then? You know, I understand that it's something that you get addicted. Usually people get addicted at a young age and that kind of thing. But if somebody said to me, listen, you're not going to be able to get a Woody in a few years because you're smoking, you know, I would draw the line. I would draw the line for sure. Now, there are two tests that I'm going to talk about here. One was a test carried out in the United States on 13,711 men between 2016 and 2018. Those who regularly use e-cigarettes are 2.5 times more likely to suffer erectile dysfunction than non-smokers. The nicotine and other chemicals found in e-cigarettes have an adverse impact on the male's sex hormone, testosterone. The president of Action of Smoking and Health Foundation, Prakit Vatisatokit, said research in Australia, there you go, found people who smoke one pack of cigarettes a day face a 40% higher risk of erectile dysfunction. The best treatment is to stop smoking. According to Thai laws, importers of e-cigarette devices can face up to 10 years imprisonment. The sale of e-cigarette liquids can see vendors imprisoned up to 5 years or fined not more than 500,000 baht. Now, it's funny, the vendors are only imprisoned up to 5 years, but the users can be imprisoned up to 10 years. And their fine is a lot lower, 30,000 baht versus 500,000, so what a trade-off. The other study was published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. Healthy men aged 20 and older who vape nicotine daily were more than twice as likely to deal with erectile dysfunction than those who don't vape. 20 years and older. Can you imagine being 20 years old, say 25, 30 years old, and you're like, I've been smoking so much my willy don't work. You know, when you're 25, 30 years old, and you know, if you're trying to hook up, and let's say, you know, you got a girlfriend, you got a wife, and you're 25 or 30 years old, even, you know, listen, 50 or 60, the wife still wants it. You know, the girlfriend wants it. She, you know, they expect you to perform. And if it's a cigarette, there's my tip of the day. Another tip of the day. Hey, if you want to be able to use your wood while in Thailand, don't smoke. Give up smoking. Get off the cigarettes. And don't use the e-cigarettes here in Thailand because you might get a rather harsh fine, imprisonment, and then tip number 3, don't argue with the police ever. Doesn't matter what it is. You know. There you go. Hey, listen, guys, do me a favor and leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and keep checking down there in the description for all the ways you can help support the channel. Send me a line, leave a comment, whatever it might be. Get yourself a t-shirt. Like I said, I got the new American in Bangkok t-shirts coming, and I'm working on a couple others, so hopefully, you know, eventually it'll come around. Should I buy the blue pill? Asking for a friend. I don't know, Andy. You're on your own with that one, buddy. I got no idea. But here it is here. Using data from a national study of nearly 46,000 adults, so that's quite a bit better than the other study. Researchers looked at information reported by men who regularly used e-cigarettes, restricting their analysis to only those who were otherwise healthy. We excluded people with high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular disease, which is a big reason for ED. We concluded We excluded those with a history of smoking. Our analysis accounted for the cigarette smoking history of participants, including those who were never cigarette smokers to begin with. We adjusted for all that, and we still found a strong and significant association between vaping and ED. That's erectile dysfunction. Smoking traditional cigarettes is also associated with erectile dysfunction. Yeah, you know, listen, I would never recommend to smoke to people. If there was a young kid out there who was like, yeah, you know, I've started smoking, I think it's really cool. It was cool back, you know, in the 40s and 50s on TV. That's how it was viewed. It was viewed as being, you know, the hip thing to do. It's not hip. It doesn't make you cooler. It makes you an addict. Listen, I'm addicted to the coffee. Now, could I kick it? I could, very easily. And I have. But why? Well, I'm not allowed a cup of coffee every day or 2 cups of coffee every day. Apparently, it's good for you. Which is another reason why if you drink a glass of wine in a day, it's not a big deal. You want to have a beer a day, not a big deal. You know, drink the healthier type beers, Guinness. But yeah, important things to think about. So let me continue here. Here's another one. Can smoking affect a man's erections? Said that a little louder. Now, what this says is research has shown that men who smoke are at higher risk for ED. Often, erection problems are worse for men who smoke heavily and those who have smoked for a long time. Secondhand smoke may also interfere with erections. There you go. That's a pretty good reason not to have your buddy blowing smoke in your face. This is what I like. The only reason I'm reading from this article is this one sentence right here. It says, to get a firm erection, a man needs to have sufficient blood flow to his penis. This is what keeps the erection firm enough for sexual activity. Okay. Chemicals from smoke can interfere with the blood flow. Smoking can damage the lining of blood vessels or lead to arteriosclerosis, hardening of the arteries. It can also affect the smooth muscle tissue that needs to relax to allow the blood to flow in. When any of these scenarios occur, less blood flow can reach the penis. Men may become unable to have erections. Or if they can, the erections are weak. So listen, this stream is 99% men. Study group in, if you quit coffee, you'll end up doing something much more unhealthy. I wouldn't count on it, buddy. Seriously. Did you hear that? Erections. Let that blood flow. Let's get back to the poop talk. No, I don't want to talk about poop. Listen, this is something, you got to get past the stigma of talking about erections. Ooh, the newer versions of e-cigarettes deliver more nicotine, with some adding even more than traditional cigarettes. So it stands to reason that if you vape a lot, you will have the sexual side effects of nicotine. Is erectile function something that's just going to go away if somebody stops vaping? Or this is something that can have residual effects in the future? We need better studies to be able to evaluate the short and long-term impact. Okay. And says here, and didn't I just say this? If you don't smoke anything, don't start. There is no point in vaping as it's not safe on its own. Thank you very much there, Walter. Long time no see. Chogdi. Kashinzan. Arigato. It's the other chemicals they add to cigarettes. Well, maybe nicotine is good for creativity. I'll take being a little less creative. I can get creative elsewhere. That way I can get creative elsewhere. It says here, if you don't smoke anything, don't start or don't smart. There is no point in vaping as it's not safe on its own, but if you're already smoking cigarettes and you want to stop, then ration your use of vapes. Keep vaping to a minimal level, just enough to get over your cravings, and then stop. I know several people who have stopped smoking, and you know, I've told this story before, but when I was in high school, I was about 16, and I just thought, oh wow, man, I want to, like, you know, smoke some cigarettes because it's cool. And back then it was, you know, I was still living in a time where guys would stick their cigarettes in their shirt, in their t-shirt. They'd roll up their t-shirt over the cigarettes, a pack of cigarettes. And so one day I decided I'm going to buy a pack of cigarettes. I bought the pack of cigarettes, I smoked, and I started spinning. I almost threw up. I hated it. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. What's funny is that I smoked a joint, and, you know, I got lightheaded a little bit. I felt good, but I didn't want to throw up, and I liked it. But the cigarette, it made me want to throw up, and I didn't like the smell, I didn't like the taste, and it just was disgusting to me. So I've never smoked since then. I would notice if I went more than 24 hours without caffeine, but I can't imagine needing to get nicotine every half hour. So, yeah, you know, that's a burden. I mean, it's, you say what you will about it, but it's almost like having to have your heroin fix every day. I mean, I kind of look at it that way. You still need a fix. If you don't have the fix, you're gonna be in bad shape. Now, you're not gonna be as in bad shape as somebody who goes without their fix of heroin, but you get the picture. You're still not in a good way. Probably safer vaping than getting the old jab. I don't get the whole, you know. Listen, they're not sticking some little blue dot inside my vaccine and having some guy doing the what's it called, the what was that called, the journey, where they showed these guys going inside of a body. What was the name of that? What the hell was the name of it? Incredible Journey or something like that? No, not the Magic School Bus. Fantastic Voyage. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. 6.8 on IMDb. This movie was made in 1966. And it says here, I don't even remember the specifics of it, but I remember, you know, that was back in the day when people sat at a computer. It was a huge room. It wasn't in front of some little tiny screen. A scientist is nearly assassinated. In order to save him, a submarine is shrunk into microscopic size and injected into his bloodstream with a small crew. Problems arise almost as soon as they enter it. Raquel Welch was in this movie, as was Edmund O'Brien. Wasn't he Miracle on 42nd Street or something like that? I don't know, was he? Oh, he was in Barefoot Contessa, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and let me see here. Well, he was around for a long time. He was the Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1939. He was in The Killers, which is a Hemingway short story, 1946. But I don't think he was in Miracle on 42nd Street. It was somebody else. Anyway, Where am I here? The tracking, the tracking chip itches at first. I like the scene where Chong is in the back with that chick. He's in the back seat of the van, or he's in the van. And the girl starts moaning, and she starts getting into it, but they're not doing anything. She's just talking to him, telling him a story or something. And everybody outside is listening, and when they come out, they start clapping. I don't know if you remember that scene. It's amazing because I thought they were so hilarious when I was young. And now, I mean, you know, it's kind of funny, but like, I don't know, it doesn't have the same effect that it used to. Electric Kool-Aid acid test. I believe at this point now, all of the staff here are double vaccinated. They've been fully vaccinated. So if they could do the fantastic voyage, in theory, you would think if there was a problem with your willy, they could effectively shoot the microscopic submarine into the big blood vessel that goes in there, and they could figure out what's going wrong with you and maybe fix you from the inside out. The laws, here it is again, the law regarding vaping in Thailand. Wow, it says there's Section 20 of the Customs Act that prohibits the import of electronic cigarettes. As this section covers the category of goods that have not had tax levied on them, and therefore their possession is illegal. So vaping in possession hasn't legally been banned, but if you do have an e-cigarette in your possession, then you must have brought it into Thailand illegally, and therefore you are breaking the law. It's an effective way for the government to effectively ban vaping without actually banning it, as the only way to get off the hook would be to show proof that you had brought your vaping equipment prior to December 2014 when the new laws were enacted, in which case it was imported legally into Thailand. So you would have to prove that, which I don't know how you would do, considering like when they check, you know, I hate to bitch about this again, but when they check my power bank, they were so concerned that it was the wrong size, and it was a tiny little thing. It's like this big, you know, it's a little tiny little thing. They're so concerned that it's like 30,000 amps or whatever, and ohms or whatever it is, amps I think, and it's only 10. And they're ready, you know, like to throw the thing away. Penalties for vaping depend on the circumstances and situation. There are 5 possible penalties that the police could impose. The lightest punishment is a fine up to 4 times the value of the vaping equipment. However, that would require the police to determine the value of your mod or e-cigarette. I didn't even know they were called the mod. So the alternative is to levy a fine of up to 30,000 baht. This is much easier for the police to do, as firstly, the fine can be arbitrary depending on the situation, officer's mood, person caught, etc. Also, it can be open for negotiation. In addition, there are jail terms up to a year or up to 10 years. These penalties would require a court appearance, and the length of the sentence would be decided by a judge. This type of sentence is intended more for distributors of illegally importing vaping equipment rather than casual users. No one knows whether or not vaping pens will be legalized or vaping will be legalized in Thailand, but as its popularity increases around the world, there's sure to be more pressure on the government to enact new legislation. In 2018, there was a report in the Thai news that the government was planning to tax and thereby legalize e-cigarettes and vaping liquids, which would lead to them becoming legal in the kingdom, but this hasn't happened yet. Oh, I didn't know this. There are. Let me see if this is still working. There is a website for those of you who are out there who are interested in this vaping. There you go, right there. You want to know more about vaping? There you go, Thailand Vapors. That's a forum dedicated to Thailand's vaping scene. Direct the blood flow into. Yeah. All right, so let me go on here. We got to continue here. Where is Longhorns? I don't know what he's doing. I haven't seen him in the chat for a while now. He's been busy doing his thing, but you know, I don't know if he's like laying there in bed or what he's doing. Who knows? Anyway, I think he's all right because he sent some video about barbecue in Texas, bastard. And now I can't get my mind off of barbecue right now. I've been thinking about it since I looked at the video. Bye. Who knows where she's going? It's got all kinds of Thailand. It's got information for Thailand vaping newbies. It's got general vaping discussion, rules and info. It's got all kinds of things. There's a members only section. Interesting. He has post-Thailand depression. He might, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, he's like Chuck in my opinion. And I don't mean that in a sexual way. Not that anything would be wrong with that. I mean that he's very stable. He's got the same mentality all the time. It's just, you know, he's not real up and down, up and down. Let's see here. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with this. And quite frankly, to me, it doesn't really matter. You know? They should worry about making people take a real driving test rather than people sucking on vaping pens. You have to get a prescription to get nicotine to use in vapors. Really? In Australia, you know what? I saw something about, what was it that the British are doing? The British are, Boris Johnson is apparently trying to pass laws or a law. It says if you are, I don't remember where I saw this either. If you are a criminal and you are found to be, well, you do time. When you get out, you're not allowed to have a passport or even a driver's license in some cases. And, you know, that is a bit harsh. I mean, listen, I was always under the impression that if you were a felon, it was not possible for you to travel internationally. I'm not talking about, oh, you've got probation, you can't leave. I'm talking about you are free and clear. You've done your time, you're done, and, you know, you have no shackles on you other than any law that prevents you from leaving. I always thought that you were not allowed to leave the country and go into a foreign country that required a passport, which is all of them. And so, I don't know that that's right either, you know. But I saw that he's trying to do that in the UK, and I'm like, the UK, Australia, the United States, all these countries. And I hate to refer to this guy's channel because I do all the time, but I see his stuff, and some of it's quite good. That, you know, the nomad capitalist guy, and he's talking about how, you know, all these places. I forget what he calls, you know, these first world countries. I forget what he calls them, but you know, these are the countries that are trying to do things that I would think, you know, in the United States, you'd think, oh, well, there's a constitution, I have rights, blah, blah, blah. And yet, that's not really what it seems like. And you know, if they were to revoke my passport, what am I going to do? I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to have to go back to the United States. My mentality is screw that. I'm going to have to find a way to become a citizen of another country. And actually, I found some things out about becoming a permanent resident here and becoming a citizen here. It may be I may end up trying to do that in the next year or two. I don't know. I'm not sure because you can only do it once a year. One period. There's only 100 people a year from each nationality are allowed to do it. But at some point I may, just because it makes sense to have that second citizenship. At least this wokeism is killing the world. Yeah, UK, Aussie, New Zealand, Canada, US. Yeah, it's something about being, like, they're like the, what the hell does he call them? It's bugging me now. It's like brand, like first brand or something. I forget what he calls it, but they're the countries everybody supposedly wants to live in. And yet everybody is running from these places to other places. Even you think about the places in Scandinavia, the countries in Scandinavia, a lot of people come over to Thailand part-time because they want to get away from the cold. Now, some of those places may indeed be very good places to live, and some of them are very happy. Finland was voted as the happiest place on the planet. And I believe it's like the second year in a row, but I could be wrong. But so, you got to go to where he says you got to go where you're treated best. I think you need to go to the place that fits you the best. And that's one reason why, when I think of South America or Central America, legacy brand, thank you. I think, could I live there? Of course I could. But I like the fact that in Thailand, basically, it's a very mellow country. You don't have problems with people unless you make problems with them. Even the police. You go into a Thai jail, and I'm talking about for something minor. I'm not talking about, you brutally murdered, 14 people or something. I'm talking about something minor. You go into jail. I've heard from numerous friends of mine that have gone into jail for one reason or another at some point in their existence here. And they all say the same thing. And I know this is the truth because I've been to jail here before, many years ago. They put you in the jail, they keep the cell open. They don't lock you up. And they go, well, do you want any food or anything? You need anything? And if you got the money, you just, okay, yeah, I need this, I need that. And they leave the door open and they just say, don't try to leave. Now, prison's a different story, but news today here, they won't have to have a yearly fee. Is your have a drone? If you have a drone, well, I'm a little apprehensive about the whole drone thing here. And I do have a drone, but the controller doesn't work now, and I'd have to go back down. I got to find the shop. I got a card somewhere, a business card of the guy. I can find the place. Go back down there, have him fix it again. It's going to cost me another, at least 2,000 baht, to go down there, get the guy to fix it. And then the drone is pretty big. It's the Phantom 4. They want to have a yearly fee. Well, here you have to pay for insurance and registration, a license. And I guess I understand. Insurance for sure. Because what if you crash into some kid's head? You crash into some young kid's head and you cause a bunch of damage, then what? You're going to pay? How are they going to be sure of that? So some Thai guy, he doesn't have a pot to piss in, but he's got a little drone, and it slices some kid's, head, and he's got to pay 30,000 baht, or, he's got to pay for plastic surgery or something. How's he going to do it? And even the insurance probably won't cover it, but. So I'm very happy about one thing. They have a show going on this weekend where there are about 20 film camera stores at a little like what do you call it? You know, like a little exhibition. And I have about 5 or 6 film cameras. I want to get rid of them. Give me the money, I'll put it towards a GoPro. You know, I'm always too lazy or too apprehensive and I'm tentative about, I don't know if I want to get rid of this or that. You know, at the very least, maybe I could trade them all in for some, like, you know, some kind of camera that I really want. But I'd prefer to get the cash and get the GoPro or you know, at least a couple pieces of equipment for the. But you know, I'll have to see. But I'm happy about seeing that. I just saw it yesterday, and I think I'm going to bring the kids with me. We'll go and. But the drone is, you know. If I was to get another drone, I'd get a small one because I don't want to I don't want to lug around a bunch of gear. That's the big thing. Well, I mean, I understand it. You know damn well there's guys who are flying them out in big cities and they're like flying up the windows and they look around for chicks who are getting naked or people who are, you know, doing a horizontal bop, you know, and so it's inevitable that, you know, this is the thing. The government wants to control things. They want to keep things safe. They want to do all these things. And sometimes it's warranted and sometimes it's not. But that's the way it goes. What are you going to do? All right, so we went over this. The risk increase for daily vaping rather than vaping in general. Okay, so if you vape once in 3 months, your chance is not as high to have problems. It's not as high as if you were to vape every day. But I would say smoking in general, bad. Not good. Try to stop. If you're smoking, try to stop. All right, so that's that. Let's see here. We got the law here, 10-year jail term. That should be good enough for people who are over here to not smoke, because what the hell's the point of that? If you got to smoke that bad, smoke a cigarette. You know. Don't hit the pen. All right, let me see something here. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. Get rid of that. All right. Anyway, where are we at here for time? We're at 94 minutes. Not bad. Andy, you have 48 days until you come back. There are a couple other people. I mean, Longhorns will be back in a couple of months. Perhaps Soy Dog Cowboy, Mr. Tom. I know he's postponed his trip. There are numerous people who they're waiting to come back. But you know, what's funny is that all these people have, the ones that I know have long-term ties to Thailand. They've been coming here for years. They're planning on moving here. They have a Thai wife. I don't know very many people who are just saying, I'm a tourist and, you know, I've never been to Thailand, but I want to go. I've got to go. I really got to get there as soon as possible. I don't know, but there's many people. So what does that tell you? And then when I see right now, Thailand it's the least restrictive that it's been in quite some time. And yet, I've been all over the place, and I see very, very few tourists, foreign tourists, international tourists. I see very few of them. So what does that tell you? I don't know how many wealthy people are going to come running over here. And I know what I wanted to do. That's exactly what it was. Let me see here. I planned to do this and I didn't do it. I wanted to read some of the comments of this about the high-earning, high-quality tourists. And there were a couple that I saw that were really, really good. And here, this is the very first comment. And I remember it. There's another one that I remember, but keep dreaming. High-value tourists have other destinations in mind. You know, places where they fix the pavements. Taxi drivers don't scam them. I haven't been scammed by a taxi driver in, I don't know when the last time was. It's been a long time. Police follow the rule of law. Bars don't rip them off, and they're generally appreciated. When they're not quoting impossibly optimistic figures, they're spouting the bleeding obvious. Okay, this is the one that I think I wanted to read. Typical Thailand, first-rate, high-spending tourist, but third-rate accommodation, service, safety, and scammers. Now, I got to stop right there. There are some very good, quality places to stay in Thailand. I've stayed at, I think it was the Hilton in Phuket. I've stayed at the Hilton in Hue Hin. I've stayed at some nice places in Pattaya. I've stayed in Bangkok at some nice places. You're going to have to pay. You get what you pay for. As usual, dreaming. You don't get nothing for nothing, thank you. And near good enough is good enough, and a lot of talk ain't going to cut it. This is something they're very good at. They're very good at coming out with things and saying they're going to do this, they're going to do that, we want to do this, we want to do that, and then nothing happens. Or it takes 5 years for them to bring it up again. I remember Thailand tourism was well on the wane, and this is what made me actually think about talking about this today, because it's been talked about for the last couple of months. But this one sentence is what made me stream this topic today. I remember Thailand tourism was well on the wane before COVID, and any hotels I had been to in the last few years may have had a nice facade and front of house, but go to your room and it was back to the 90s. Many of these places have had little maintenance or upgrades apart from a lick of paint since opening. Okay. Herein lies the truth. You have to look into a lot of these posts and this information to get what really is, it's the truth. Thailand was before this pandemic. Thailand had been done to death. They had run some of their ecological tourist destinations into the ground. Now, supposedly they're coming back a little bit stronger and better now. They've had time to recuperate. But it had been done to death, and there is usually a cycle. Every 20 years, whatever, 10 years, 15 years, however many it may be in a certain region, places tend to change. The main destination tends to change. And so this is what was happening before the pandemic. Now, things are changing, people are changing, people's mentality towards travel is changing. Let me go on here. I note 3 lines down in my newsfeed from the headline: taxi driver charged with negligence in death of tourist. I hope Thailand never goes down the route of our foreign nanny states. Well, they're getting there. They're moving that direction. But if they want to attract even middle-class tourists, they're going to have to up their game with some basic regulations and high penalties, particularly with regards to safety. Last tour I went on down near Hue Hin, I picked up to go on a boat in a dirty old ute with seats in the back. The driver was an imbecile driving 80 kilometers an hour on dirt roads. Cut the corner and slid out. Tree branch came in through the back and cut up my wife's arm. That was the end. It was dropped on the side of the road. That night at dinner, we were told by people that completed the tour, an elderly man fell down in the water and hurt his leg when the ramp to the boat gave way. Not my first experience of this either. Sitting in a speedboat off Phuket going to an island, 1 meter swells, and these fools flat trapped with 2x250 Yamahas on the back. I don't know what this means. Plenty of terrified old people on the boat too, and nothing to hang on to. I don't know what was worse, that or the nightmare transfer back to the hotel. Okay, that stuff, listen, that shit happens, but there was one other thing I wanted to say about this. Yeah, TAT counts every single arrival as a tourist, whether they're expats, family, or it's about business. They make ridiculous numbers for what they spend, all total fallacies made up by themselves and the government to make them look good. Next headline from TAT, 50 million tourists by 2030, all spending 1 million baht each. Okay, let's see here. All right, where is it here? Oh, this is talking about how, okay. I like this. 2 years during COVID, I bought a refrigerator, washing machine, bed, 2 new phones, a new car, paid my rent on time, frequented the local grocery stores just about every day, as I do, ate at local restaurants, hired local people to garden and clean, etc. Spent 99.9% of my hard-earned money and saved money here in Thailand. A lot more than a single tourist, that's for sure. Money well spent, I might add. Enjoyed every minute of it. Let's see here. There was one more that I really wanted to read about other places taking over this place, surpassing this place as a tourist destination. Yeah, here it is. You would only have to look at the Philippines for the life lesson here. It was the go-to destination in the 70s, and I remember that, early 80s. One of my buddies went into the service in 1979, and he went to Clark Air Force Base, and he ended up loving the place and staying there for a while. He just kept telling me how wonderful it was. But at that point, I hadn't even thought about Thailand. It was pretty much what is happening here happened there, and Thailand took over the market nearly overnight, never to return. The Philippines are still struggling to recoup their tourism back 40 years later. If Myanmar and Cambodia both have coastlines, ever get their act together, get some investment, well, they are getting investment, at least Cambodia, build some truly world-class resorts and facilities, Thailand, with its old, tired, same old, are going to be toast. I applaud Thailand in one way for wanting to attract a better class of tourists. They have a lot going for them, but high-end, no way, and no time soon. Walk before you can run. Cheap food and girls are one thing, but that can be easily taken away by some of the neighboring countries. As someone noted, middle-class, family-type people from cold countries who don't have natural resources, beaches, and islands. Even that's a pipe dream, the way things are at the moment, with little safe infrastructure or decent facilities. I don't know what they're talking about, safe infrastructure. The infrastructure in Thailand is fairly good. Let's see, what is this? Yeah, supposedly the beaches and the oceans and the sea life, wildlife has been recovering and recuperating. But I thought that last person, what they wrote, was pretty telling. Here's another one. I think change will only happen, and I agree with this, after the 2023 elections, if and when the current government is voted out. And even then, it might get worse before it gets better. You don't know. They clearly have an ideal Thailand in their delusional mind that is not what it was or is or ever will be, and that certainly does not involve expats or Western tourists. It would certainly help remove them if the number of tourists after COVID do not increase anywhere near the numbers that they have been stating. Another reason I am reluctant to visit. TAT is not what they say they are. TAT is the government mouthpiece for all the great things they are doing related to tourism. And when they don't work out, they merely change their narrative and provide more rhetoric, such as 1 million tourists by the end of 2021 because of the government's great job in opening Phuket, etc., etc., etc. Didn't I say that a long time ago about Phuket? Phuket was a mess. It was a mess. Bali has always been a big place for the Aussies. I don't know, but it still is now. It's a beautiful place. And, you know, there are a lot of islands in Indonesia. A bit more hard to stay long term there. Cambodia is pretty easy, and they are making some. You know, I did a video a while ago about, you know, which country, Thailand or Cambodia, and Thailand was far ahead of Cambodia then, and now Cambodia has gained a fair amount of ground on Cambodia, but I think their natural resources are far behind what Thailand has to offer. That doesn't mean that they don't have great beaches. That doesn't mean they don't have great places. It's just, I don't know if they'll ever be able to reach the numbers that the Thais have reached here. And, you know, like I said in the beginning, the fear is that the tourism infrastructure for foreigners was fairly good before the pandemic. After 2 years and all these businesses going under, and tour groups, travel agents, that infrastructure is nowhere near what it was before, and it's going to continue to suffer. So let me see here. Everything is summed up in this sentence: if you are not very rich, do not come to Thailand. I don't know if that's the truth, but okay. Here's what I like. This is perfect. High quality tourists need a high quality country, and Thailand is not that. There you go. Now, here's a guy responding to the comment about the Philippines, Cambodia, and how Philippines has suffered because of some of the things it did in the past. And the guy agreed with him and said, it was why I chose Thailand over the Philippines over 10 years ago. Here's another thing, and I think this is a big one. Vietnam is positioning itself to take up that role. COVID brought out their military mentality, but if they go back to their previous business mentality, they have a great opportunity to succeed in the lower to middle class tourist and expat who outnumber the others by a long way. Likewise, Malaysia is making a big push for the middle class expat. They have a great visa program with lots of incentives, although they changed it recently. Indonesia have blown it with their approach, also going with the high-enders. When Bali is deserted by the ordinary Aussies, they will maybe regret the decision and change their minds. So that's another place that is poised to take over. And yes, Vietnam is, in my opinion, Vietnam is a much better place, just because of the coastline and yeah, just because of that. I really like Vietnam, and I've been to Cambodia 50 plus times. I've been to Vietnam twice. And if you said to me, you're going to have to live in one or the other, Vietnam, Cambodia, or Myanmar, you know what? There's no chance I would live in Myanmar. Not a chance in hell. You know, life's an adventure, but I don't want it to be an adventure where I'm stuck and I can't do some of the things that I want to do, or I have to be extremely careful. And I don't want to live in the way that even Yangon is although it's becoming more modernized, they still got a long way to go. Listen, Vietnam, I was very surprised because, first of all, I was surprised about the Grab taxis and how cheap they were. They were fantastic. Here you go, Janara. There's your little friend. But they have a lot to offer there. And the people are extremely intelligent. Now, they may be a bit cutthroat, but then, you know, that's the way it is. It's life, you know. It's business. You don't take it personal, okay. I think when you push it to the point where Thailand has pushed it, which is, we don't want you, or you're white, you got to pay a lot more money than us. I think you're pushing the limit. You know, yeah, I liked Hanoi a lot, but yeah, the air quality was not good. But I really liked Hanoi. I went to Hanoi, Hue, Ho Chi Minh, and what was the other place I went to? Hue. Damn it, I gotta look at it because it's gonna drive me nuts now. It wasn't Da Nang. Where was it? It's hard to see. Need my glasses. Quy Nhon. And Quy Nhon was the bomb. I liked Quy Nhon. Quy Nhon, which is spelled you know, you may remember, no, Hue was one of the places, Quy Nhon. First I went to Hanoi, then I went to Hue, and then I went to Quy Nhon. Or did I go to Quy Nhon and then Hue? I think I went to Hue and then Quy Nhon. Let me see. It doesn't even show Hue on the map. That kind of sucks. Okay, yeah, it was Hue, and then it was Quy Nhon, and then it was Ho Chi Minh City. I don't know if you guys remember it. There's a playlist for some of the Vietnam. There's a playlist for the videos I put up for Vietnam. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like Thailand. They don't spell everything the same when it doesn't translate into English all the time. The same as, you know, some places are spelled different. But it was a great place, man. Quy Nhon, I loved that place. That place was fantastic. There was stuff to do at night. And I'm not talking about, you know, filthy nightlife kind of stuff or just, you know, nightlife. I'm talking about there was stuff to do. You just walked around the town at night. There was stuff to do. And this was before the pandemic. And then I haven't even gone inland. One of the things I do want to do this at some point in my life is go down the Mekong in a kayak or a raft. It'd have to be a kayak or a canoe. You know, I don't have to go the whole distance or anything, but I'd like to go down just to see what maybe get a guide and help me, you know, something like that. But you know. But I really like that trip, and I like the Quy Nhon. Hue was the place where I went on that one street. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, where all the bars are and people are partying and stuff. And I streamed from there, and I think I got drunk in that place. I got drunk while streaming. I drank a bunch of the beer, the Ha 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 beer. I do remember that. It was quite good. But I went on one street and I was like hungry, and I told some girl, I said, yeah, I want a, what the hell's the sandwich? The banh mi. Well, the Thai is very easy to read, and if you can read Thai, you may be able to read at least a little bit of Khmer. Forget about Burmese. I can't even come close to that, but The banh mi, you know, I was used to getting the banh mi for 10 or 20 dong, which was, you know, fuck all. And the girl, you know, I was sitting at this little place like in front of a bar or something, and the girl like gives me this banh mi sandwich, and it was like 30 or no, it was like 40 with the Coke or whatever. You know, or maybe it was 50. I forget. I don't remember how much it was, but it was, you know, it was something like 30 for the banh mi and then for the Coke. And the thing is I wasn't complaining about the price. It was that she made the banh mi and there was virtually nothing on the sandwich. There was, you know, a little bit of cucumber, a little bit of the vegetable, and very, very little meat. And I was like, this is what I get? I'm like used to, you know, like the old ladies who were serving me the banh mi sandwiches and stuff. They're giving me like a meal. And here I get this, and it's like 2 pieces of bread with a tiny little bit in between. It was a wish sandwich. I wish there was something in between. And then she charged me, and I was like, wow, not a good deal. But, you know, it's the bar scene, it's the tourist area, whatever. I had a good time there. Yeah, I've heard of the place, and I've considered going there. There's a lot of places. I can only go to so many places. You know, that's the problem with travel, is it's never ending. And it's addictive. As much as I bitch about, you know, I don't particularly like going into airports and stuff, I'll endure it. I'll go, no problem. You know. It's a matter, you know, for me it's a matter of timing, and who am I going to go with? Can I go with one of my kids? Can I go with my wife? Can I go as a family? Are we all going to have time? How much is it going to cost? Is there really a reason to go there? Do I really want to see the place? There's, you know, a lot of factors, but Vietnam, listen, I would go there, and I would, if my family wanted to live there and give it a shot, I wouldn't like uproot everything from here. But if they were like, oh yeah, let's go, we'll go see, we'll give it a 6-month trial. Would I do it? Yeah, I would. I don't know how I would make it work or how we would make it work, but yeah, I would actually consider living there. But that's not going to happen because there's no reason why we can't live here. So, anyway, listen, we've reached the end of another stream. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. And I don't know when I'll be streaming again. You know I need to come up with a schedule. I've been needing to come up with a schedule for a long time. I don't see the need to stream every day. I just don't have enough to talk about. I don't have enough worthwhile information to give you. And, you know, useful information. And I only have so many stories in the bank. And I am working on another video from Chiang Mai, and I may have one after that, I'm not sure, but you know, Christmas is approaching, which doesn't really mean a whole lot to us, but hopefully another trip will be forthcoming in the next 3 to 4 weeks. I'll be out of here, and I do plan on going and doing a few things out in the city sometime next week, probably later in the week, but I'm not sure. And one of them you might like. I don't think a whole lot of people are going out and doing these things, so we'll see. But thank you very much for joining me. Do me a favor, make sure you leave a thumbs up. If you like the video, leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. One of these days, I'd like to get to 15,000 subscribers. My channel goes up and down, up and down. I slowly inch forward, but really, it's moving forward in millimeters. And so, please, if you haven't subscribed already, do that. Click the notification bell and check the description. Get yourself a shirt. Get 10% off. I'm going to put the Super 10. That's the code, Super 10. Get 10% off starting in about 3 hours. 3 hours because everything starts from Pacific Standard Time. So in 3 hours, and then for a 24-hour period, save 10% off on all merchandise. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say. Hope you like the stream, the conversation. And until next time, I'm Scott. I'm an American in Bangkok. Choke D, Jerk and Mai. They'll Jerk and Mai. That's good luck. And until next time, I'll see you later. All right, so be good. Don't smoke, boys and girls. And don't vape in Thailand if you know what's good for you. You want to be able to use use all your tools. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mike Apple. Thank you. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. All right? Later.